Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarret Patton.
Welcome to episode 206 of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarret Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player like Spotify, iHeartRadio, and subscribe to License to Live. And while you're there, please rate this episode and give us honest feedback so we keep making this show become exactly what you deserve. Now, a few episodes back, back in episode 202, we talked about that reverse bucket list, and that started a whole nother discussion kind of offline and people contacting me. So bear with me. In 202, we talked about this reverse bucket list, and the purpose was to really get yourself to think about where you have already traveled and really focus and be aware of those blessings. And I talked about a few things out of my own life as an example, like being served ice cream by Ben & Jerry's founder, Jerry Greenfield, or getting to interview former Surgeon General Jocelyn Elders, which we did that on episode 200. Or even the time I got to drive in President Obama's motorcade that I spoke at length back in episode 134. But these were all kind of big things in your life. And when you kind of look at each of them individually, I'm sitting here like, wow, did I actually really do that? And my life is full of blessings. And where we're going with today's episode and something that I could have asked myself, but I guess I didn't. But a lot of people have asked me that lately. And that question is, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Am I worthy for all of these cool things that have happened in my life already? And maybe I want to do some other things as well. But am I worthy? Well, the short answer is yes, you are worthy. And that doesn't mean that you're automatically think that you deserve these things. It may be something that kind of blocks that thought. And a lot of people have asked me lately about imposter syndrome and how to get around that. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey guys, this is Janae Noonan, and I'm here with Dr. Jarret on License to Live. Hit the subscribe, follow the journey. Let's go.
The time is now to refresh your career. We help doctors, lawyers, executives, and VIPs refresh and restart. Dr. Jarret's coaching helps you build confidence, gain more credibility, develop more leadership skills, and gain clarity in your career path. Want to climb the executive ladder or branch out on your own? We'll put your career in overdrive. Visit drjarret.com and sign up for your free strategy session.
And as I mentioned in the intro, I really have had this question come up about imposter syndrome. And it's one of the things people call me about for strategy sessions all the time. So I'm serious when I say to go with time with drjarret.com, time with, spell out the word doctor, JA2RSE1T.com. And sign up for that strategy session. It's free. All you have to give is about 30 minutes of your time, and we can maybe even get you beyond some major roadblocks you've had in your life. And some people get hung up over imposter syndrome. They say, well, maybe do I have imposter syndrome? Am I not worthy? And definition wise, imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern where a person may doubt their skills, accomplishments, or even their potential and feel like it's a fraud, despite an external evidence of their competence. So it's that feeling like I'm not really as good as they think I am, or one day somebody's going to find out that I really don't belong here. And that is that thought pattern that people think about. And I guess if you do a reverse bucket list, you might ask that question, are you worthy? The answer is yes, because the irony of imposter syndrome that it often affects people who are the most qualified and well accomplished. I mean, you've already put in the work, you've gotten the degree, you've received the accolades, and yet somewhere that nagging voice in the back of your head is telling you that you don't really deserve it. So you think that it was luck, or you were just in the right place at the right time. And, you'll always say, people say the old adage, fake it till you make it. And yeah, I mean, that's how some people do live their life. But hey, you are a fire starter. You are listening to this show for a reason. You've already been accomplishing things. You want to accomplish even greater things. And I'm just letting you know, you're not alone in feeling this way. And depending on the research you look at, it could be as many as, 50% to 70% of people feel imposter syndrome at some point during their career, even the most accomplished ones. And that's why I said start with this reverse bucket list, because you've already done some amazing things. So what do you think this impact is, this impact of imposter syndrome? And really, it's on yourself and your own career growth. And I look at it in a few different ways. First of all, imposter syndrome can lead to chronic self-doubt. So now we're just talking about a short-term thing like oh, shucks, no, I don't think I did that too. Man, I maybe am just not able to do anything that I've been doing, and everything was luck, and maybe I don't even belong here. Maybe I'll get fired. And if you are constantly questioning your abilities, it's going to hold you back from maybe looking for a new job, a better fit, maybe even going after that promotion, or even taking on a challenging project. And because of that, you don't feel like you're qualified enough, and you just become stagnant. So it's one of those self-limited roadblocks that you put in front of yourself. That's why it's important to understand what imposter syndrome is. And we'll get into how you can help it. But the second piece of this is it leads to perfectionism. I mean, there's a lot of you guys out there I've talked to, some of my clients, we've talked about being a perfectionist. And in life, everything can't be perfect. You may want to think about making a plan. And finally, at some point, you have this perfect plan, but you haven't taken the first step in action. So you haven't done anything except plan. And because you feel like you have imposter syndrome, or you feel like a fraud, you might try to overcompensate by making everything perfect. And perfectionism can be paralyzing. It can lead to procrastination. It can lead to burnout. And you'll be on that constant cycle of this is not good enough. So really, that it's okay to be imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect, because sometimes good enough is all you can do. And then the last thing is that people who suffer from imposter syndrome you cause yourself to downplay your own successes. So when people are congratulating you on your achievements, when people are praising you for your work and your accolades, you kind of get there and just say, I just got lucky, or I didn't do much, or I don't even earn that. And that prevents you from fully embracing your accomplishments. And when I do speaker training with people, this is one of those moments. I said, hey, when you're in front of that crowd, when you're speaking to that audience and you get them to react and you get them to laugh and chuckle, let them laugh and chuckle and have that moment. Don't just try to rush on to the next thing that you're there. Let them give you some applause in the middle. And sometimes for some speakers, and I remember even on my journey, that was a tough thing to do, is just sit there and let them applause and enjoy the applause, because you may not always get an applause, let alone if you get a standing ovation. Sit there and enjoy that moment, because those type of things aren't given. So you did earn it. There are people in real time that are telling you, yes, you earned it, you deserve it, and embrace and relish those things. And people may not always congratulate you, but when you do get congratulations, let's go with it. So some of you are thinking, well, you said early on in the show that imposter syndrome really affects high achievers. And oftentimes people who have already accomplished a lot or are currently accomplishing a lot of things may actually have an inflated value on their imposter syndrome, because these high achievers tend to be perfectionists by nature. And you know exactly what I just said about perfectionism. It gets in your way because you're setting these extremely high standards for yourself. And when you meet the standard, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to do. But when you fall short, even slightly, you may feel like you're not good enough. High achievers also have a deep sense of responsibility, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. So you're putting this pressure on yourself. You want to be accountable for what you're able to do. And it's all around your crew. So whether it's your family, your colleagues, your patients, there is that desire to live up to everyone. But that pressure can make you doubt, especially when you feel like you just fell a little bit short. Again, having this sense of high achievement may get in the way. And then finally, high achievers are generally striving for more. They want more. They feel like, well, they've hit one goal. Let's go for the next goal, and we'll raise the mark higher and higher and higher. And the constant pursuit of success can leave you feeling like you're not enough and you're always going for the next thing. And it goes back to relishing the moments when those big wins come and getting their, all this approval, whether you do it externally and people are approving of you, but you have to do it inside yourself. And one of the things I have added into my coaching practice is boosting it with positive intelligence. And positive intelligence, just like your emotional intelligence, just like your overall intelligence quotient, is something that you can build with time. And the first thing you have to do is identify what those saboteurs are. And perfectionism can be a saboteur. Your judge and your judgment, particularly against yourself or your own circumstances, can get in the way. And so you have all of these things that you can learn about yourself. And you say, oh, wait a minute. I can counteract some of these roadblocks that are falling in my way. And perfectionism is not my goal. Judging myself harshly is not my goal. Whereas maybe discernment and just critically evaluating something is. Judgment is not. We are not here to judge, unless, of course, you are a judge. But nonetheless, this is why imposter syndrome affects high achievers in a different way. And you got to identify those saboteurs And then you can take steps to weaken and remove these saboteurs out of your life. So if anybody is interested more in positive intelligence and how you can add it into your own daily practice, we'll talk more about it on the show. But this is a great time for you to have a strategy session. So now you say, okay, I understand imposter syndrome. I know what it is, where it's going. How do I get over it? Well, of course, I'm going to come back with some tips on how to overcome imposter syndrome right after we finish thanking our sponsors. Hey, this is Dr. Jarret Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com. Now, some of you are thinking, man, he's still advertising this affirmations book and this License to Live book. It's daggone near 5 years old. And honestly, I can't believe it is almost 5 years old. But affirmations are something that will change your life. And it's hard for you to believe until you've seen it come. But I've recently got a letter from a fan. She happened to see me at a book signing and she got an autographed copy, and she read and went through the 90-day affirmations guide, and she kept that with her in her car, and she kept it nearby because anytime she felt like she was slipping, she went back to the book, picked out some of her own affirmations, and started moving forward. And she added it as a part of her overall wellness strategy. And she wrote me this amazing letter and told me how much of an impact it made in her life. And well, we're talking about imposter syndrome here. I'm thinking about, hey, I didn't do much. I just wrote a book that I wanted to inspire people. But then I thought that is exactly the impact I wanted to have. And when you write books and publish books, for those of you who haven't, you don't always know who gets your book in their hands and what kind of impact it has made. But when you get something like that coming back to you, it's hugely significant. And luckily, I no longer suffer from imposter syndrome. And I accepted that wonderful feedback, and it just used to energize me to continue the old work. So yes, I still advertise this book. And if you don't have the License to Live daily affirmations or the original License to Live book, just go to drjarret.com and you get the book bundle for a special discount. And when you order it from my site, I autograph it before I send it to you. How are you going to overcome imposter syndrome? How do you do it? How do you stop yourself from feeling like a fraud? Well, here's the good news. It is possible to manage it and take control of your mindset, something that we're writing about in the VIP book you hear me mention. We don't have time to there, but I'm going to give you 5 steps that can help you combat imposter syndrome. So you can start owning your success. You can start celebrating your wins. You can start learning from your losses, and you continue to go on a higher trajectory and plane. So, of course, the first step is acknowledge the imposter feelings. Like I said, maybe 50 to 70% of you have suffered from imposter syndrome at some time in your life. So it's okay to acknowledge that. And that's the first thing I tell people on strategy sessions when they mention that. It's okay to think you have imposter syndrome. But when you do that, simply by labeling it and understanding what it is, you take away its power, and it allows you to kind of separate from those feelings so you can see the things around you, which brings to the second step, which is to reframe your thoughts. When you have those negative thoughts like, I don't belong here, or I'm not qualified here, challenge them. Simply just say, Why do I think I'm such a fraud? There's some degrees hanging on the wall over there. There's some papers that I published over here. There's a group of people I was just talking to. Then maybe even the media wants to know your opinion on something. Well, what are the things? And so now, yes, go back to episode 202. Make that reverse bucket list so you can see all the accomplishments that you have made and you can prove to yourself that you belong. That way, you're replacing self-doubt with the factual evidence of your competence. Anyone who has worked with me knows that step 3 is one of my favorite steps because we often will start our coaching sessions with celebrating wins. So I want you to celebrate your wins because one of the biggest mistakes is that when we are having imposter syndrome, we're not even looking at our successes. We are not looking at the wins that we have. Every time you achieve something, no matter how big or how small, celebrate it. Even the smallest of wins will lead to a big win. And in positive intelligence, we often say, hey, sometimes the entire process seems overwhelming. Commit to just doing that first action of the first step for maybe even 30 seconds. And when you commit to that 30 seconds, you are getting something done and then celebrate that 30 seconds. So you can keep record of your wins and saying, even though it was a small step, it is a win. So the smallest of wins. And of course, those small wins lead to big wins. You can't win the Nobel Prize without winning maybe a Parent of the Year prize from your kid's kindergarten. You got to start somewhere. That's what I'm saying. And most importantly, celebrate the wins because it's important to recognize you've earned every single thing that you've achieved to this point in your career. The next thing you should do is seek mentorship and support. Oftentimes when you're in the mix of it, even if you're early career, a mid-career, or even a very seasoned professional, sometimes you get so locked into your norms, you don't even know how you're feeling. And so it can simply be great to reach out to someone and talk to a friend or a mentor, because more often than not, especially when you're talking to someone, even if you have a very high standard for them and they are highly celebrated and highly successful, more often than not, you'll find that they've experienced the same thing along their journey. So sharing your struggles can help normalize your feeling and remind you that you're not alone. Remember, we said 50 to 70% of people may suffer from this at some time. So imposter syndrome, although it's very common, it can feel like you're very isolated, but trust me, you're not. So step number 4, make sure you are seeking out mentorship and support. And yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit on step number 5, but step number 5 is to practice positive intelligence and develop a positive mindset. So they are among the same category of things, but they are slightly different. So number 1, if you want to have a saboteur discovery session, simply hit me up. I'll send you out the test. You can take this brief test. It will identify some of your saboteurs. And some of them you may not know about. Maybe you know you're a perfectionist, but you may not know that you're a harsh judge, particularly to your circumstance. And that may be getting in your way. So we can help you practice more positive intelligence, but this is one of the most powerful because if you are cultivating a positive mindset, it is really using that ability to shift your thinking from self-doubt to self-compassion. That's what positive intelligence is all about. And so when you're experiencing moments of imposter syndrome, try to practice self-compassion and realize that you would encourage a friend going through the same situation and you would cheer on a friend if they perhaps won an award or they finished a project. You would certainly cheer and celebrate your friend for this. So why don't you celebrate yourself? This is where developing that positive mindset is so important. And it can start with the affirmations journal and just go on from there. but focus on your strengths. Remind yourself of your achievements. And it's okay to not have all the answers all the time. Practicing positive intelligence will train your brain to view challenges as opportunities for your growth. You will find every challenge as a gift or opportunity for your growth instead of a threat to your success. So I almost want you to practice this one. This will be affirmation number 91. Every setback in my life is a gift or an opportunity. And it's really up to you to transform that negative situation into that positive situation. So remember these 5 steps. Acknowledge the imposter feelings, reframing your thoughts, celebrating your wins, seek mentorship and support, and practice that positive mindset through positive intelligence. And that is exactly how you'll overcome imposter syndrome. So keep the good questions coming. We've talked about so many good things on this show, and I love just being a part of you, fire starters. So remember, imposter syndrome can infect anyone, but the key is you can't let it hold you back. You've earned success. Maybe you've had some failures along the way, but you've had some success as well. And acknowledging that, reframing your thoughts, and all the things we talked about, you will be headed on the right track. Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been disengaged, dissatisfied, disgruntled, disenfranchised with their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe to License to Live. And while you're there, please rate this episode and give me honest feedback so I make sure I provide you with the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes. And hey, if you're hanging out in between episodes, see where I hang out and what I do. Make sure you're connecting with me on LinkedIn and all social media at Dr. Jarret. Spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T, and I will see you guys next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarret's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.